Hello friends, welcome to Akul Mac Live, and we have a very distinguished guest joining us from Calcutta. Her name is Aditi Palit, and she is a very well-known learning and development professional, very well acclaimed, and we will talk about how the pandemic has impacted our communication, especially the business communication. So without further ado, let me welcome Aditi to the show.
Thank you so much, Chandrakant, for offering me this wonderful platform to get my views across on a very important topic on which I've been training since my initial days, that is communication. Now, because of the pandemic, everything changed where business is concerned, and communication was, it became, the main factor which ran the whole business, the features, all the features. Now we know that communication is the backbone of any business. We start with the HR procedures, onboarding, interview. Then we come to explanation of the company's policies, the goals, and then we go on to the explanation of the projects by the team managers. Then comes the negotiations. Then the sales department have to go and convince the customers to buy their products, right up to the exit policies conducted by the HR department. So being an HR professional initially, I felt that all functions depended on successful communication within the organization, be it horizontal or vertical. Now, when this pandemic came, and there was a total lockdown, and businesses started struggling, thinking on how to get back on their feet. The CEOs, the company owners, the managers, everyone had to sit, through virtual modes and formulate the policies. As we all know, remote work became the need of the hour. So their particular sort of communication was needed.
Well, Aditi, I think you have raised a very important point, and especially now when there is pandemic and people are not able to meet each other face to face. That is where the problem is coming, and we are all hooked onto our screens, and well, it's a very dull medium to communicate. I think there is a bit of personal touch is required in order to build that personal rapport with people. And you mentioned some of these points like HR, which is people centric. Then you also mentioned about communication within the company, and then ultimately, how do you communicate with your external agents like customers and your agents and distributors, etc. So all of that has undergone tremendous change because of pandemic, and it appears that these changes are permanent. They are going to last for at least a decade. In such a situation, what people must do, because in the end, human is a social animal, and if you are not able to socialize, how do you create your new communication skills? What is required for today's professional from your point of view, Aditi?
Okay, so from today's point of view, you're correct. Those who are joining their work in different organizations, they have to learn how to be comfortable in front of the camera through the video messaging, video conferencing, the Zoom meets, G Meet, Microsoft Team meets. These are part and parcel of today's communication within an organization. So they have to learn how to be comfortable first and foremost in front of the camera. Now, to convey what they are feeling inside, what problems they are feeling inside. You cannot actually go into the manager's room, and you cannot talk to him, and your facial expressions, when the physical, when physical and when virtual, they matter a lot. We think that our facial expressions are not being noted. On the other hand, they become more magnified. So both verbal and non-verbal communication has, in the importance has increased manifold. So if they are, those are new joinees, my advice is to practice at home. All of them have laptops. So, and here, here listening skills, as I always say in my communication classes, the communication is a two-way process, we all know. Now, how does a communication between two people become successful? The way it is being, encoded, sent by the speaker, and how it is decoded by the listener. That, all depends a lot. So what we, the new joinees at home, they can practice with their, parents, with their siblings, and also look at a lot of interviews that, they are available on YouTube. You have to be as comfortable while being interviewed on virtual platforms. Now, above all, what I stress on, phone calls were there, are there, and will always be there. As not only the new joinees, the managers, the leaders, when I, do one-to-one coaching with leaders or group coaching, I lay a lot of importance that the onus of successful communication depends on the team managers. Now we know the pandemic has created a lot of stress, anxiety. People have lost their jobs, or they have, the salaries were cut down. These were all shocking things to everyone. Loss of economic, earnings, etc. Now, when it opened, the organizations opened, the companies opened, the employees were totally, unaware of how the policies were changed. I'm not talking of new joinees, I'm talking of who they were already, in the organization. Now, it was for remote teams. Now, the managers had to, again, I'll use the word empathy. Through empathy, many employee maybe had lost a member in the family. Now, to come back to the work, a psyche, to get back the work psyche, that was very difficult. I have first-hand knowledge. I've seen, young boys and girls struggling to get back their equilibrium. So they managed that. Their communication, had to be in between the totally professional attitude and one of maybe a member of the family, and elder member of a family, where everything that the company top brass had, formulated, whether, work policies or health policies, which were very, new policies were generated. These had to be conducted communicated in such a way that earned the total trust and confidence. So there's, the managers had to speak in a language which was crisp, clear, but not too harsh, and not only an eye on the ROIs or on business productivity or enhanced earnings. But first, they had to get their team members feel comfortable working from home. And again, I'll stress the division between work hours and personal hours, that was being merged by many managers. I have talked to my, those who were my ex-trainees who had joined the companies. They said, ma'am, we are getting calls at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Maybe the manager felt a need. Certain, emergencies arose, but that had to be conveyed in a language that earned the confidence of the team members. So communication, basic way of communicating instructions, conveying the total, whatever framework or the whatever content, everything remains the same, but the mode of expression, the way it is conveyed has changed and should stay that way.
Well, I think you've also again raised a very important point. I personally believe that kids who are studying in school, they will not find it difficult when they grow up and get into a job because they are already doing online study and their grooming will be totally different. But what happens to those people who have just started their career? We have been telling people, hey, you start your work and get into networking arena and build your network as you grow experience in life. But the generation which is now getting into job, first of all, they are finding it tough to find a job. Second is the job which has been taught to them is not available anymore. And I think you mentioned about things like communication and all that. I will add another thing. When you talk to your team members or your subordinates, or if you're a chief executive and talking to your employees, nowadays you are exposed to their personal life, which was not the case 2 years back, because people come to office and then you give them job and you expect some output from them. But in today's environment, the personal life is also exposed because you have this camera and the entire action at home is playing in the background. So I think because of this empathy, lack of empathy, I think there is a proper training required in terms of not only hardware, software, but also the human behavior which is undergoing a change. Do you agree with what I'm saying?
Absolutely 100%. Now, again, I'm focusing on the managers and their team members. The team members, now, for many companies allowed a casual way of, appearing before for meetings and all. I, for one, told my, mentees, unless you get into a proper, formals, you won't get that feeling that I'm in office. So apart from setting up a proper work area where most companies help their employees, dressing, and as we call today, power dressing, or the way we feel while after dressing properly, that had to be emphasized. Now, secondly, as you said about the family members also being exposed. Now, some companies have taken wonderful initiatives to, when there are activities. Like today, instructions are through role-playing activities and all. They involve maybe the wife and the children, even the parents. That gave a lot of fillip to the employees that, now the family members will understand what pressure I usually go through in office. And my managers will understand, maybe after coming home, I have a little child who demands my time. So these kinds of, the merging in some companies has been very wholesome, where others, they were brought to task why, there's so much disturbance at the back. So this kind of, mentoring, this kind of coaching, grooming, all, done by coaches like us, where we had to emphasize that it has to be a cutoff. You have a corner in your room or in your house where you work, where you shut out the disturbances, your child crying, maybe the, sellers coming and your wife buying. But whenever you have breaks, you can bring them along and you can go and chat with them. That way, remote work was welcomed by such employees, where they were, allowed to mix these two. Total professional attitude and a little, wholesome mixture of both ways of working.
Well, you mentioned about child cry. I have dogs at home, so I think dog barking is also one of one of the factor. But I think you made that point, and I want to elaborate on that. That is the new type of training. Um, in terms of so there are two aspects. One is training where you get capitalized with the new way of working, and second thing is that we no longer have this dead medium like Zoom to continue. I think we need much more than that. The time has come to make it more intuitive or augmented reality based system. So I think there is an opportunity for entrepreneurs also to enhance this system to accommodate some sort of virtual reality into this, because otherwise it will be very mundane and it will not be interesting. So I think there are two things, and I want to take your opinion on that. One is the IT infrastructure ramp up with latest technology like AI or augmented reality. Number two is about the human development around using these mediums, because I think these are become not soft skills but hard skills, because these are the starting point of finding a job first of all, or even if you are experienced with 20 years of years behind you, you have to learn these practices to be more effective, isn't it? What is your opinion?
Yes. It's the same thing happened with me. I was not at all comfortable with Zoom, and but when the pressure comes on you, that this is where part of it of my coaching profile, I have to do it. Then I got it, and I saw that even virtually I can mix the human touch. Like we had several kind of role plays, then movie watching, I know, incorporated videos in my presentations, and both are required. You said yes, artificial intelligence as it is being used, and like we have nowadays, I just read somewhere people are thinking of having holograms and implants in the body, human beings, where they're part of the communication can be done by them. So I find it very interesting, and if it's given to me, I will learn it. But at the same time, as I said in my last session also, the human touch. Now, who's doing all this? Who is discovering all these softwares? At human beings, and they know the intelligence is there. Now, if the managers, again, the leaders, again, just bring to task any employee who is not being able to implement this technology in their work, in their presentation, in sending, the work project that was entrusted on them, then that is taking it to making it very mechanical. Now, the manager has to see now what happened, where, maybe the laptop, there has been some problem, so the office supplied that, then the office, mechanic has to go, those who are into the software part, has to go if any program is not functioning. Sitting at home, maybe that person is not that tech savvy, but otherwise he has the knowledge of completing that project. So there the manager has to step in and understand it's not his knowledge that is stopping him from completing the part of the project. It is the software and all. So he has to talk. He just has to pick up the phone and tell his employee, don't worry, I'm sending someone home from the office who will get your system working once again, but after that you need to meet the deadline and finish that project. So this, as again, human touch. Now, if the manager on the other hand said, like, you should have informed before, and why you don't know this part of the correction of the software or whatever, then again I was coming to this important part of communication breakdowns. Communication breakdowns lead to unimaginable losses for the company. Once the employee loses trust in the manager or the leader, there is a lot of grievance, stress, which again affects his work. The whole team gets affected, and this again leads to attrition. We have witnessed during the pandemic large scale attrition. Now this has boiled down. I've been reading over I catch up with the latest, facts and figures. There's huge attrition because the companies are, once they, initially they force the, employees to adapt to the remote work style. Now they're saying, get out and come to office, at least the hybrid work. And the employees, maybe they do, who are little bit settled, so not the new joinees, they are leaving, they're preferring to leave the job because they've got used to the remote kind where they can even look after their family members, aged parents, without having, by saving the commuting time. So here, what we need is, we need the managers to say, jump in and say, 3 days a week. What is hybrid work? 3 days a week, if it's 6 days, 5 days, you stay, you work, do remote, and 2 days come. You love the physical interaction as we used to do before. I've done a lot of, as I said before also, I've done a lot of presentations, I've got accumulated together remote work, the leaders, the challenges and the solutions, which I'm offering now. Then I also did on hybrid work. Where does hybrid work come in? Remote, better than remote, because you're getting back feeling of being an employee. If you go risk now, all companies are sanitizing their workplaces properly. They cannot take the risk of anyone falling ill on their premises. Now the employees have to trust the companies. So now here again, the communication style is changing. Yes, you have got used to the remote work, style. We are allowing you 3 days, do it, but 2 days come, we'll be all together like old times, cup of chais, and little bit of gossip and backslapping, in before or after meetings, and you love the feeling of having somewhat got back to the old days. So this again, now hybrid is, say 50% have come to office. The interaction of the leaders with their employees in office is different and from the ones who are still back at home. Now to bring them on an even keel, he has to include all the employees, whether doing hybrid or remote. That is communication again of a different level. So from the beginning, I'm a communication trainer from the beginning, but that's my forte. And I believe, as I said, the heart of any business success is proper communication, collaboration. Now different virtual collaborations are coming into play, has come. That is, again, it depends on correct communication. So this, as I said, it is good that artificial intelligence is being, tested and tried and implemented, but the human touch by the managers and the leaders must also stay very much.
Well, Aditi ji, I fully agree with you. And viewers who are watching this, if they need any help in terms of improving their skills, they can reach out to us, and we will make the connection happen between you and Aditi. And it was such a wonderful conversation with you, Aditi. And we will catch up next week again to get more information about what is going on, how it is changing our society, and what are new things happening in our industry. Until then, I'd like to say goodbye for today.
Thank you. Thank you once again, and looking forward to the next session. Thank you.
So viewers, you heard from such a important and senior person from our industry. I think most of us are tech savvy now, and people who are following Atul Mac, they already know that we are already on the virtual office, and we have nailed the issues which are related to the human touch using the technology. That means our team members can get into coffee breaks and one-on-one meetings virtually again. So the people bring their own cup of coffee, and then we interact using our own old mechanism, but using virtual office. Also, Facebook has changed their name to Meta, and they have also recently removed the identification feature of Facebook, which was very, very powerful feature of Facebook. I think what we are waiting to hear from them is the augmented reality piece along with their glasses, Facebook glasses. So if you wear Facebook glasses, connect with your Facebook, you will be able to see the world. And if you see me, you will see my name. If you see Aditi, you will see her name, or you see anybody will be displayed automatically on your glasses, and things like that. There are a lot of augmented reality bit is being developed. I think 2022 will be very exciting in this area of communication, learning, and development. So for today, we had a very interesting discussion with Aditi. If you have any questions, suggestions, or any comments, you can write in, or the email will be displayed at the end of the video. Please do contact us if you want to reach out to Aditi. We will make the connection happen. I'll say goodbye today, only to catch you in the next one.